Welcome everybody. My name is Chris, and this is this is Chris Unheard Word podcast. So today we'll be discussing bad kids and bad parenting. I'm here with our co-host. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. It's your boy David. We're gonna talk about it today. Let's talk about it.
Hey, King David in the building. King David. All right, yeah, I got sound effects aboard now, so shout in a few things. All right. So yeah, let's jump into the first clip. See, the reason that we are discussing this topic is because I've just seen a real increase, especially in the last couple of years, of kids having outbursts, poor poor behavioral styles, and poor parenting styles as well. So those are some things we want to highlight and discuss how we can suggest solutions to the community going forward. So our first clip, we're going to talk about the PNB Rock situation. So apparently they have captured his alleged killers,
Along with his
and
17-year-old
we'll go over that now.
and the boy's stepmother. They're being charged with murder of rapper PNB Rock. He was shot and killed during a robbery at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in South LA earlier this month.
Fox 11's Christy Fajardo has more on the trio of suspects. She joins us now live from Compton. Christy.
Yeah, one of the suspects, Chantel Trone, was arraigned here at the Compton courthouse earlier today. The 17-year-old, whose name is not being released because he is a minor, was also arraigned in juvenile court, and his father was on the run until today. A family under arrest. 40-year-old Freddie Trone, no longer a fugitive, caught by police in Las Vegas. The LAPD says he was the getaway driver, and his 17-year-old son was the gunman who earlier this month shot and killed rapper PNB Rock while he was eating lunch at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in South LA with his girlfriend. The LAPD believes the duo was after the rapper's expensive jewelry and may have been tipped off to his whereabouts by a social media post. His murder provoking outrage and calls for justice.
He was a guest in our community and was gunned down by a cowardly act.
Also likely to turn heads, Fox 11 has learned the alleged teen gunman was just out of jail and wearing an ankle monitor, which should have gone off once he left his home.
Court's going to go on the record, call the matter of people versus Chantel Trone.
Also in custody, Freddie Trone's 38-year-old wife, Chantel, who choked back tears during her arraignment in Compton. Police have not said her involvement, but she pled not guilty to charges of being an accessory after the fact. Chantel Trone is due back in court on October 13th. As for Freddie Lee Trone, he could be arraigned as early as tomorrow. Now, we did check jailhouse records, and it shows that someone with the same name and the same age was arrested back in August and was released in March of this year from county jail, but those records did not say on what charges. Live in Compton, Chrissy Fajardo, Fox 11 News.
So yeah, that's the clip, and that's the story. Is apparently the alleged, it's a family, unfortunately. So they went and got the jewelry off of PNB Rock, and the stepmom is involved, the son is involved, and the father is involved. So like I said, I see this increase in poor parenting and just bad kids, so like bad behavior. So there's a lot of dysfunction in our community right now. And so what I want to ask as our opening question is just to get your thoughts, and then I'll ask our question right after. So what are your thoughts on the clip so far? You're muted.
Overall, it was a pretty sad situation. Overall, we kind of had our thoughts and suspicions of the situation. To know that it was a family thing, and mother and father involved, and the fact that they, would be, pushing their son to do this. I mean, you wouldn't have expected it. You wouldn't have expected it, and it's kind of like it makes you wonder, like, are these the times that we're currently in?
True. It's it's really sad. We don't a lot of the conversations we had so far, they really overlap. Like, we don't value each other's lives, and also we see each other as a threat or a lick. Like there's no positivity in our community. And, part of it's the music, part of it's the things that we teach or don't teach, as parents. Because what they say in the Bible, like train up a child in the way he should grow. When they're old, they should not depart from it. But if there's no training, because if your parents are encouraging you to do criminal activity, then where really can you go to get that guidance if at the home,
Right.
you're
Right.
pretty much messed up.
Yeah. It definitely starts at home. It's supposed to start at home, but when home is okay with the recklessness, then
yeah, where can you go?
What else?
What else is good?
Golly.
All right. So we'll jump into our next clip. This one is more in terms of I guess you say like child rearing. So let me load that up real quick.
Y'all got it all up. The reason why is because because I became a grandparent does not automatically make me the babysitter or a daycare. Grandparents, true grandparents, they're supposed to raise their children right to where when y'all start having kids, y'all can financially provide for your own children and secure their daycare so you can go to work, so you can go out, so you can do anything else. Grandparents.
See, let me tell you where you got it wrong.
No. True grandparents are supposed to be able to call for their grandkids. Y'all supposed to come over here. No, that's for the daddies. That's for the daddies. When the daddies ain't in the home, that's where they go for the daddies.
Oh, bummer.
They go to their daddies for the summer because y'all got to split custody. That's how y'all got it fucked up. Grandparents are supposed to be able to come to your house and stay with you and visit with their grandkids. You're supposed to be able to drop your kids off when your grandparents call for them and in their leisure time. Grandparents are not supposed to be daycares. Everybody's time is valuable. We have our own life. We work very hard to get everybody out of the house. Why would we want to raise your kids and keep your kids? That's out of order. But black people, the black culture is so dysfunctional. That's why y'all think that grandparents is supposed to be keeping kids and raising kids. It don't go that way. Y'all got it messed up.
So yeah, grandma was going off. Yeah, grandma was going off. She said y'all got it messed up.
Got it messed up.
I'll ask you your thoughts. So was grandma wrong for going off in this clip?
Well, we don't have the full context of the conversation, but what I can figure out is grandma's ticked out. grandma's tired of her dropping the baby off and going about her business.
Yeah.
This ain't my job. We don't do this. Now, I remember in my younger days, like my parents used to drop me off to my grandparents too, but it wasn't like it was only maybe like during the summer. It was like it was like the grandparents, were there to give the parents like a break sometimes at points in time, a weekend. Like I said, during the summer months, things like that. It wasn't an everyday type thing. That is something that I think we probably in the last like couple of generations have seen pick up a whole lot more, where instead of children raising their kids, they basically have, grandparents have been raising the kids instead. And honestly and truthfully, I definitely feel like grandma's right. It's not their place to be raising your children. They're there to help you. They're there to give guidance. They're there to maybe sometimes be, a support system. But a support system is not, your babysitter. Your 24/7, keeping them every single day type thing while you go and live your best life still. If you weren't ready to live that life, then you probably shouldn't be having the kids. So, most definitely. What you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, I have similar thoughts. Granted, we don't have the full conversation, but from what we can gather, the moms are dropping their kids off by grandma, and grandma can't live their life. So we don't know if the kids are using grandma pretty much like a safety net, or like, okay, she's always going to be there. So we kind of absolve ourselves of the responsibility of being full-time parents by dropping these kids off and kind of guilting, like, oh, you don't want to see your grandkids, like they want to come see. So it's that aspect of it too. So yeah, it's the increase, I guess you could say, in being more comfortable leaving the kids has kind of grown, in my opinion. I'd say back in the day, probably there was more, it may sound bad, but like more shame if you had like a kid out of wedlock or just a situation where you couldn't provide for yourself. So, you know, the child would go and live away with another relative, but that wasn't commonplace like it is now.
Right, like now, exactly. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
now it seems.
And I know that a part of it is because of the raising costs of daycare and things like that. Like daycare has gotten very expensive these days. Like
True.
I'm telling you, man. Like yeah, you could be spending a few hundred every week, you know, just for daycare services. So I know in some cases it's the fact of cutting the expense. But once again,
Mhm.
like this grandmother said, my job was to raise you and make sure that you were able to take care of yourself and financially do things. Now, if
Mhm.
the grandmother as a parent did do that and did
Mhm.
teach and instruct and help that child with getting through school and made sure that child went into college and made sure that child got a good trade or made sure that child had what they needed to be established, then that
Mhm.
should be the case. But the thing is, in this day and age, a lot of parents are not taking care of making sure their children do things like get the right
Mhm.
education or
Yeah.
get the right type of jobs or in that way we're at a place and point now where we have 2 and 3 generations of parents, grandparents, children, and nobody's done nothing productive in their life. Like
Mm.
the grandparents haven't done anything productive and have not lived a life for their children to take the example from. Therefore, the children have not pushed to get educated and get jobs and this, that, and the other. And so
Yeah.
therefore the children don't know anything. And that's one big reason why these kids and these children are falling at the wayside with all of this violence and all this gang activity, street activity, and things of that nature right now because it's not being. So the question is, what did you actually teach?
True. Yeah. If the mentorship again, if the mentorship does or guidance doesn't come from within the home, they're gonna find it from somewhere. Because similarly, like I guess people kind of gravitate towards authority, be it positive or negative. So you can have like the gang culture, like you mentioned, where young men or even nowadays young women they find their family in the streets, so they get that validation, that reassurance from outside the family. So it feels good when we're all doing the same thing and all encouraging each other in this certain lifestyle. So this is my opinion. I don't have any facts to back this up, but I feel that there was a more acceptance. I mean, granted, teen pregnancy has been going on for a long time, but I feel it was more accepted once certain TV shows like the was it 16 and Pregnant or the reality
Mm-hmm.
TV shows came on. So it's like, okay, some people either got pregnant to be on the show or just the overall stigma started to dissipate. So people are more comfortable, starting families. Well, they're not even families, just having kids early. And then it becomes a cycle of kids having kids. And then there's a whole nother conversation of like the welfare system. And, it just becomes like a big circle of dysfunction in a sense,
Exactly.
unfortunately, as well.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So it's like you have to figure out, are you possibly playing a part in this dysfunction?
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, because you see clips sometimes even like where the the mom and the grandma are like within of was it 18 or 16 years of each other, and they're out in the club. They're not being
Exactly.
positive, or the young men aren't being fathers. They're still running the streets and doing all kind of things. So there needs to be a sense of accountability on the men and the women, because
Definitely.
the cycle will just continue, and then the dysfunction, then you have the crime and the violence, and everybody's just in this big cesspool of just nothing, repeating this.
Dysfunction.
So yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
before we jump into our next clip, let's look at a couple of our comments real quick. Suzette, shout out to Suzette. She says, "Grandma is right." Grandma is right. It says, "I'm almost 100% sure they weren't going to work." True. Yeah, you can hear by how they were talking that they probably weren't being those productive citizens in society, unfortunately. We got ACIT. Nothing wrong with grandparents watching kids, especially if they are going to work and if they have an agreement. True. Watching kids and having the grandparents raise the kids is two different things, though. So I think in that clip, the grandma was upset with the kid, with her kids dropping off the grandkids beyond just watching them. Correct. Suzette, they are not going to work. They like to take advantage of people. Give an inch, they take a mile. True. Got to have that home training, and they reward and justify bad behavior, the lack of ambition, and normalizing foolishness. Yeah, we have to bring back shame, to be honest, in some situations. Yeah, you have to give grace to people who, find themselves in a circumstance or a mistake, because they're not going to be heartless, but still have to hold people accountable, be it the fathers and the mothers in various situations. All right, so that's it for that clip. So let's jump into clip number 3.
With Ryan because he just wants more and more money all the time. Ryan needs a job to support his habits.
I had a summer job at 15. I was washing dishes and I only was getting paid like $100 every 2 weeks, which is not enough to support my lifestyle. Basically, after 4 weeks of working there, I quit because I got tired of being told what to do.
My son Ronald, he tries to sneak little ways to get more money. Like if he takes out the trash or, tidying up around the house, he feels as though he got to be paid extra for each individual thing. Oh, you need to pay me for this, you need to pay me for that. I do laugh because, why do I have to pay you to do your chores?
Now, Ronald says he uses retail therapy to make himself better because his mom is always at work. But is he willing to take a smaller allowance or no allowance so she doesn't have to work as much?
No, I'm not. She gonna work more to raise my allowance. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
When you graduate high school at the end of the year, your allowance will be cut off.
Oh, no.
You're going to have to work a job for 2 jobs.
I don't know why y'all clapping. No.
Because I can't do it.
That's not gonna happen, bro.
I can't.
Okay. So that is a very interesting clip. Shout out to Dr. Phil for use on the clip.
What?
I know, right? What? So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, there is a lot of dysfunction in our community.
Wow.
So I want to ask this first question: are we handicapping our children's future?
Oh man. So I think it just depends on the household, but in this situation, man, and honestly and truthfully, this with this generation, I definitely say definitely.
Yeah.
We're really seeing more and more of we're coming across a generation of people who just kids who just don't want to work, who believe that they deserve something, they believe that they're entitled to things without even working for it. And I'm not for sure where that mindset comes from, but they feel like they're owed something without putting in the work. When I was younger, when I was that age, that I lifestyle.
I know. Lifestyle.
15, 16 with a lifestyle? Oh man. No, not at all. Real talk. If you got up, you know what I'm saying? And your job, if it was a job, your job was to go to school, make good grades, come back home, do your chores, yada, yada, yada. And the payment for you doing these things was you got food to eat and you had shelter over your head. You weren't you weren't kicked outside in the cold. You feel me? Nah, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But this is what we're seeing now. That we have kids with lifestyles. I mean, you get your life, you establish your lifestyle when you get out of the house and making your own money and paying your own bills. Then you can have a lifestyle.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I think we covered part of this topic in terms of the lifestyle with that young lady who was saying $80,000 is not enough. But we can see even in the young men nowadays, it's about this image, be it social media or whatever is going on in society. And why I asked the question, are we handicapping our children's future?
Most definitely.
Is because he went to work and what he made wasn't enough for his lifestyle. So he went back home and said, Mom,
Exactly.
you need to go work more and give me a higher
Exactly. That's crazy. I would. It would make
yeah,
it would make more sense if he kept his job and then
yeah,
still asked his mom to give him money
exactly.
for doing some chores. Then he would have more money. But
Hmm.
instead, he stopped working a job and wants to go live off his mom. But like I said, but that's what we see a lot of that nowadays. We see a lot of people who don't want to work and depend off the government. We see, a lot of women who they want men to take care of them. You see kids that expect their
True.
parents to watch over them, take care of them, and things of that nature. And it goes far. And it starts off young. It starts at home. It starts with what you allow. But once again, you gotta look at the parent and what have you done and what have you allowed. Now, mind you, he's been doing this to the point where it's a problem for her. And you
Hmm.
see how she's saying, well, when he graduates, when he's 18, no, you should have cut that crap off right then, right there. Like when
Exactly.
when 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 he had the mindset to come back disrespectfully enough to be like, well, I need more money. You should
Yeah,
have been like, well, go get another job or go get a better
exactly.
job. You know what I'm saying? So it's about what you allow, and it starts off young because it starts off with things as simple as when kids are younger in school and they see their classmates getting certain kinds of shoes, a certain kind
Hmm.
of clothes. Or everybody wants Jordans in middle school and elementary school, and everybody wants to wear polo and blah 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 blah. If you don't put a sense of the value of money and the value of time and the fact that you're not going to stress and strain yourself with that child
Yeah.
and fixing this lifestyle situation when they're young, then when they're
Hmm.
older, you end up with that kind of problem. And then in order to keep that lifestyle or in order to keep a look or in order to keep up a status, these children feel like they have to do whatever other little thing that they can do in order to keep getting, that money,
Hmm.
which
That's
often
true.
leads to them doing wrong things.
Yeah, because if you
So
don't develop that work ethic, I mean, if you okay, you don't want to work, you got to get money from somewhere. So if it's the certain hip hop culture or just in general, if you can't get it the legal way, most people are going to get it illegally. So either it's going to be
exactly,
cracking cards, kicking in doors, robbing, or just being, dishonest and stealing stuff.
exactly,
So it's like that by like you said, it all starts at home. By not having those things in place to set the foundation for that child and for the honestly future generation, you're pretty much lending yourself to destruction because it's like, okay, we'll just figure it out, or they'll figure it out, but
exactly.
that doesn't help the future at all. So I do believe that we are unfortunately handicapping our children in some situations by allowing things to just go on in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just say they'll grow out of it because at a very young age, I think, especially in our community, we need to know the value of a dollar and also the importance of hard work,
Hard work.
especially
Exactly.
for men. Like, to be
Especially,
honest,
especially for,
especially for men.
did you hear that? Especially for men, man. I'm
Especially,
telling you, bro. Look,
yeah,
when I was little, like that concept of work got taught to us young. You
got
were
to.
five, you were 5 and 6. You were washing dishes. By the time you were 8, you were pushing the lawnmower outside.
Hmm.
You were washing the car. The little things like laundry and taking out trash don't even qualify as chores. That's every day. If you don't wash your
That's
clothes,
you
if you don't wash
operating
your
in your own
clothes,
house. Yeah,
exactly. That's just how operation. If you don't wash your clothes, then your clothes just funky. You feel me? Like
hmm,
like that's just regular life operations. But we were doing jobs. You hear me? We were
yeah,
getting out there washing cars on the weekends, cutting grass, cutting yards, working. We had to do our yard. We had to go around the corner, do my auntie yard, go down the other way, do my uncle's yard. Like we
exactly.
did work.
Work
We
exactly.
learned work, and
Or
that's a
honest hustle. I don't know about you, but like back in like middle school, elementary, the candy hustle, or let me not put myself in jail.
Yo, hey,
Burning
I got
CDs.
exactly.
So yeah,
But that was the thing. Like we when we were younger, we learned things like hustle.
yeah, that's true. The hustle culture, or even just being responsible for yourself, it's very important to teach at a young age because when you get older, nobody's gonna look after you, and if you think being dependent on the government is gonna get you far, it's not. Yes, the government has programs that can help you survive, but you won't get ahead on government programs. So that drive You just have to have it, because honestly, me, I can't be around lazy people. I mean, it's cool to chill and watch shows, but like to just be lazy, that's a different. Like entertainment and having fun is different from being lazy to me.
Yeah, that's
So
real.
Well, yeah. So let's look at some of the comments real quick. But yeah, we've really good discussion so far. Again, if anybody wants to jump on the panel, hit the StreamYard link in the chat box. Let's see. So they say, yep. Again, no home training. That's where it starts. Rewarding bad behavior, lack of ambition. Again, like I said, you can't teach work ethic, and personally, I just can't do lazy. I can't. Sounds like Ryan is gonna be SOL, and his lifestyle will flop if I'm mama. We not funding that. That's true. Ryan ain't getting no whoopings. You allowed to live in my house. Yeah, that's it. Not getting paid. Every generation has little to, no, we are not. This generation has little to no standards and not teaching kids properly. Yeah, like you said, the guidance. David, you got it. She allowed it. So he climbed that tree, referring to previous comment. If he got disciplined at the beginning, his mind wouldn't have let him thought of saying that on TV. True. Because he's like, he complained and said she's never home, but then his therapy, his retail therapy,
right.
I gotta pay money to feel good by buying things, but I get money from my parents or my mom, but then I'm upset because mom's never home, so I have to buy more things. So it's like,
and then he said she can go to work to get me more money. Like,
exactly,
really.
Hey, again, like I said, this generation, it's looking rough, man. It is looking
real rough, man.
Real rough. All right, so we've got two more clips. Excuse me. See, we talked about handicapping our children's future. So we're going to talk about when kids are more grown, I guess you could say. So let's play this first one.
Mom, are you approachable? Go ahead. As you know, I'll be turning 18 next week, and there will be some changes in this house. My curfew is no longer 10 p.m., it's 2 a.m. I will no longer be responsible for your other two sons when you're not here. I am grown and responsible for myself. I will no longer ask you to go places. I will just be telling you. If you have an issue with me, you can no longer put your hands on me because it then will be considered assault. Is that all? Yep. Well, then I too will be making some changes. Since you will be an adult, you are now responsible for getting yourself to and from school. I don't give rides to adults. Also, I cook for children, not adults. You'll need to get a job. I'll need rent money and light bill money. As for your curfew, you will not be able to gain access to my home after 10 p.m. Me and my children will be sleeping. Where you went is where you will stay. As for me putting my hands on you, as an adult, I will now throw hands with you. And because I am a petty mother, I'll call the cops after and tell them a grown-ass man just put his hands on me. Sounds good? We have a deal?
Do we have a deal? That's the mom. That guy from Dr.
That's what's up.
That's who we need. That's who
we need right there.
So yeah, that's a bit of a comedic relief for the topic. But yeah,
but that's real.
Is they set the boundaries. They say, okay, you want to be grown, then you have to take on these responsibilities. Like you're not gonna be, you're not gonna have it both ways. Do what you want, come and go as you please in my house, essentially.
That's
so yeah,
it.
gotta have those boundaries.
Got to.
All right. So not to get to the true last clip, let's go to this one. It's a little bit longer, but it's a little more sensitive, to be honest. But we'll go into it.
So he's coming in right now. I want to know what's and then he ain't going nowhere. That's my son. That's my only son.
At some point, he got to go.
Never no time.
I mean, at some point, he
never no time. Man. Never no time.
Well, tell him, Christian.
No, you tell him. We're talking about you grown and you gotta go somewhere. I told him, you understand, you ain't going no damn way. You go when you get ready.
Man, I just feel at some point you need to make your own way. That's what I be want to walk through the house naked sometime, and there you go. So I mean, what?
No, if anything, you can go, not him. How about that?
I want to pay all the fucking bills in here. You gonna tell me where I can go?
But the thing is, like,
Why do I got to get to my mama house? Like, why do I got to leave my mama house?
Period.
Man, you damn near 4 years old. Damn near it's time to go. I mean, at what point?
I'm 29 now.
Well, that's pretty 10
But you
years
know
away.
what? When I met you was living with your mama.
Man, please, y'all was in and out. Come
You
on,
was
man.
living with your mama.
I
Now you
was
gonna tell
22
me.
years old.
Now you gonna tell me because he 29.
I ain't getting up. I'm not getting up. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah,
Mama house.
well,
And you ain't gotta go nowhere.
You know what? Damn it, I ain't gonna pay no bills either. Then, damn it. Now, how you feel about that? You don't want him to go? I won't pay the bills.
No,
but
you gonna continue to pay
he
the
got
bills.
to go though, man. It's too much. See, we arguing and stuff about stuff.
Because
You know
at
what
the
I'm
end of the
saying?
day, at the end of the day, all y'all do is tell me to help. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Like,
Man, you
so
grown
y'all
ass
saying
man. You supposed to know the garbage overfill. You supposed to know to take that outside. Come on, man. I don't have to tell you all this stuff, man.
But the thing is, I'm barely here, so I'm barely making garbage. So why I gotta take the garbage out if I'm barely here? If I'm barely here, barely making garbage, barely making dishes, like why I gotta do anything?
She gonna always make excuses for you, man. But
Right, he don't even be here. So what is you talking about? He don't be here like that. He come here, he sleeps, and then he on business the rest of the day.
When he's here, he needs to help out. He needs to do some things. He
Well,
needs
I
to
tell
be
you what,
productive.
he ain't paying no bills
damn it,
and
he
he
gonna
ain't
start
gotta go.
paying some bills around us.
I ain't paying.
But
I gotta pay.
So yeah, there is a lot of dysfunction in that clip. It goes on much longer, but yeah, I think you can get the gist of what's going on in that household. There's definitely a battle when it comes to.
I'm gone.
Exactly. You say you're gone?
I'm gone.
You said I'm not putting up with this.
I'm telling you,
You
that's
said, no, that's it.
That's some real baby boy syndrome going on right
Yeah.
there, son. Nah, I'm gone.
Because it even
Dang.
extends to like just being, just to be honest, disrespectful to the relationship itself. Because yeah, that to me the mom was out of pocket in terms of like how she was talking to I'm just her husband, essentially. Yeah, and she's babying her son way too much, and I don't know if he's 40, but he looked way too grown to just be in the house. Now,
So-
granted, circumstances may be, unique to the situation. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the clip?
So I'm going to assume that this was like I said, that baby boy situation where this was mom's house and mom got a man and married him, and now he's paying all the bills in the house. Now there is supposed to be a certain level of respect if that man's paying all the bills in the house. There should be some level of respect on that. Unfortunately, though, if it was his role that he moved in with her into her house, if she doesn't want to kick her son out, then he really can't force that situation. And honestly and truthfully, it sounds like he's gonna either have to deal with the fact that the son is gonna be there, or he got to pack his stuff up and go because it's not gonna what he wants isn't gonna happen. Like in that situation, it's pretty obvious that what he wants isn't gonna happen.
Yeah, because there's two different dynamics going on there. Like, granted, I don't know whose house it is, but even if it's not his house, there needs to be a level of respect when it comes to a relationship or a marriage. I'm not married, but respect is respect, regardless of what you got going on.
Respect is respect.
And so she's talking about, he's jealous of the child, or my son's not doing none of that. He gonna save his money. Like, she's dictating the terms of the house without accounting for the fact that she's in a relationship. So there's like a hierarchy people talk about, man to God, woman to the man, children to the woman. So it's like that hierarchy's all jacked up right there, because she's essentially running the house, which is not a bad thing, but again, she's disrespecting her partner in her tone and in the conversation, and especially having it in front of the child. Like something like that, granted he's grown and you can talk more freely, but like I said, respect is still respect at the end of the day.
Unfortunately, it sounds like he set himself up for that one. That like the way she sat there and told him, when I got with you, you was staying with your mama house. Like I said, that's why I draw that conclusion that most likely he moved in with her, so therefore he stepped into her house that she runs.
Yeah.
And they didn't establish that there was going to be a change in dynamic once he married her. So now she treating stepdaddy like he's just the older kid in the house.
An older kid, exactly.
Like ain't nobody about to do nothing, and he ain't going nowhere, and this, that, and the other. Like, golly,
it's rough. It's rough.
That's real rough.
See, similarly, it goes back to that Dr. Phil clip. You handicap your children, so he's not prepared for the world. He moves into a situation or marries a woman where he's not a true provider, where he can, it sounds bad, have the dominant role or the leadership role in the situation. So
are we talking bow down?
Oh Lord!
Nah. We're not gonna go there.
We're not going there.
We're not going there today. All right.
All right. Gender roles. I choose to be here. I choose to love. But yeah, so yeah, that having that leadership authority in the house, some women unfortunately will check you. Regardless of you being a man, they'll say, okay, it's my house, or I pay the bills, or even if they don't, some people will just try you, unfortunately. And you gotta have those boundaries.
A woman will check you.
They will,
at any given point in time, she will check you.
She will.
Be ready for it.
You got to.
It's like boxing. Keep your hands up at all times.
At all times. At all times. So yeah. Okay. So let's get some questions out of the clip. How old is too old to still be at home?
Oh, that's a good one. So this is from my raising. Now I moved out of my family's house pretty young. I actually moved out of my parents' house before my brother moved out of my parents' house. He's older than me. But the way my parents, raised us, their mindset on it was basically as long as you are respectful, to the house. And you do things, according to those rules. They really didn't care how long you stayed. You stayed. And I kind of feel similar. I feel like I have a daughter right now. She's 5. I feel like as long as she is respectful of the rules, respectful to her parents, not doing things that we don't want to do in the house, I really don't care too much of how long she stays in. Because the longer she stays in, we're doing things, we're teaching. So as long as she's here, she's saving money. She's putting money into her account. She's preparing to buy her first house, things of that nature. So if she does things the right way, then she can be here until she's 20 something, 30, or who knows. If she's not gonna respect the house, if she's not gonna do it right, then when you're grown enough to be on your own feet, you're grown enough to be able to, get an apartment or get a home or get a place like that. And if you're not respectful, then she will be out. You feel me? Because she has to respect myself. She has to respect her mother. The rules of our house. Because I feel like that's something that we get wrong, because like our culture has made it to where once you're 18, you're gone. And one of the reasons why our kids suffer and our kids don't progress the way they should or aren't successful the way they could be is because we stick them and kick them out there in that world that they're not totally prepared for or ready for. And they have to try to cover, finishing education possibly along with paying to live. And the price of living is quite expensive these days. It's hard to do the two, to actually get a good career while trying to live.
True.
So by kicking them out at that age, you almost kick them into prostitution. You kick them into drug dealing. You kick them into wrong decisions. You kick them into wrong friends and career paths. You kick them into crime. You feel me? Because you're doing it and they're not ready. So I feel like we should learn to keep our children at home with us until they are ready. But you teach them to mind, and you teach them to be respectful. Like I said, at a young age, when they get older, they know to keep that same line, those same lines of respect for you, and they can have those freedoms. But it's all about structure. It's all about the structure that you set for as parents. It's all about what you teach your kids. Your kids can have a life and still be home with you. If they want to go party and this, that, and other, you can go party this, that, and the other, and be out there, but don't bring that in here. You feel me? You want to hang out and you got girlfriend and you want to do your little this, that, and other. You can go get a hotel room and then bring yourself back home later on. Like, you can do those type of things. You don't have to be disrespectful of my house.
True.
So as long as you're respectful of my house, respectful of me as your parent, respectful for your mother as your parent, you can stay here until you're 20 something, and we can be putting money into your account. You know what I'm saying? You can get a job and you can pay rent. You can pay rent, or you can pay some bills, And basically, you get to teach that structure to that child before they go out into the outside world. So they've gotten
True.
used to things like paying money monthly. They've gotten used to keeping a checkbook. They've gotten used to balancing their accounts. They've gotten used to making sure bills are paid by a certain date. You get to put all that instruction in them
True.
before they go out into the world. That's one of those differences between us and some of our other counterparts. That's what
Yeah.
we felt our community, we felt our kids, and we need to change that.
Yeah. Sorry, we handicap them from the onset in some situations. Everybody's in a rush to grow up, and we perpetuate that by the 18 year out or the go join the army. Well, that's a good option, but some people aren't built for the army, so they go moving with friends, or they're moving with a boyfriend or girlfriend, and God forbid they get pregnant early, and then that you sent you down a path of, not to say you can't recover from those things, but it's a harder road to come out of. But that's a good suggestion that you said. You can build the financial structure within the home. You learn the value of a dollar when you start to pay bills. It's better to pay bills within the home so the family benefits, or even if you say, okay, you pay the bills or pay a bill, but I'm going to put that money into a fund. So when you leave, it can be like a surprise thing. Okay,
there you
you're
go.
paying me for 4
Exactly.
years while you're in college or whatever. And at the end of 4 years, I say like, hey, you've been paying rent or paying the internet for all the years, and I give you the balance back without you knowing. But I've instilled those values of the value of a dollar, hard work, being responsible, boundaries within the home. So when you go out into the real world and there really are consequences for your action, at least you've built in the routine of, okay, I'm being timely, being responsible, and things of that nature. Because to be honest, the world is unforgiving, and
Very.
it's better you bump your head within the house where somebody who loves you is looking out for your best interest than to be out there. You can't pay. It's the 15th. You're late. You got a late fee, but the check was late, or you didn't work that many hours last shift, and so it's check to check, or you got to go ask somebody for this or payday loan, and now you behind because that interest is astronomical, on the repayment.
Exactly.
So, like you said, it's the instilling of those core values, responsibilities within the home. Because granted, other communities, like you did mention, aren't quick to push the bird out of the nest. Now, there's a difference between coddling or handicapping versus encouraging growth, but it's finding that balance. And also, once you instill those rules and say, okay, you want to be here, abide by blah 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 blah, and that you're also working towards something, because you can't just be, in my opinion, in the house just to be in the house. I prefer you be working towards something. Doesn't have to be college. At least being self-sufficient. Because even when I tell my younger brothers, like, there's going to come a point where people aren't going to be comfortable taking care of you on a regular. Now, granted, it may not be your parents, but if you're in a relationship, like, there's going to come a point where they're like, okay, why aren't you self-sufficient? Why aren't you the quote unquote leader in this relationship? And especially as a man, the world is very different, and it's worse as a black man. So you have to have those things in place and those values structures for a better future.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Okay. So I think we covered pretty much everything. This session went by pretty quick. Let's go through some of our comments to close out. Let's see what we have here. Sounds like that relationship is trash, and regardless of who the house is for, the relationship has come to an end and ship has sailed. Yeah, it doesn't sound very promising for that relationship. They wouldn't even see my dust the way she's out of pocket. That's not babying. That's crazy disrespectful. True. Buddy needs to find someone who appreciates. Yeah, but you can't be working that hard, paying all the bills, and then coming home to disrespect. That's wild. That's wild. They say yes, David, because we send out unprepared kids. Like I said, you can't. It's one thing to push them out of the nest just because you're 18, but you got to have the financial wisdom, preferably a career. Self-sufficiency is important. You don't feel different the day of your birthday. Since you turn 18, yeah. The way your mind and thinking doesn't change overnight. That is very, very true. Very true. Yeah. The brain doesn't truly develop, they say, until what, 24, 25, like when it's really set. You may have habits growing up, but the brain's that frontal lobe is developing different for different people for sure. All right. So what are some solutions for the future? If you give 2 or 3 solutions for the future, or even one, it's one thing. You're muted. You're muted.
Gotcha. So there's so many that I have. There's a lot of solutions for this. Like there's enough solutions to make a part 2 of this. But so one of my first solutions that I'm gonna say is number one, it like we've been saying all day, it starts at home and it starts young.
True.
Families we need to have more structure in our families. We need to set rules, guidelines, and things which are going to be like the foundation of what this family is going to be about, what this household is going to be about. You know what I'm saying? Respect for this household and respect for the plan for the future. We teach those things like respect. We teach those things like the importance of money and finances, responsibility with money and finances. Um, and basically those things, task and hard work and all that stuff has to be instilled young and early in age. If you don't set those examples and give those examples and set that in the child young, then it's going to be a lot harder to get it into their head when they get older. So you got to do it younger. You know what I'm saying? And then there'll be a lot more. They'll follow a lot more in line if you do that at a younger age. And parents just need to be more involved, period. The fact of the matter is, whatever we don't teach our children at home, I guarantee you there's somebody out there that's going to teach them their way of it. Whether it be music, whether it be their friends, whether it be YouTube, whether it be the radio, whether it be the movies, somebody's going to teach them. So who would you rather teach them, you or them? And the way it's looking right now, we're letting the streets and we're letting radio and YouTube teach our children way more than we are. And that's one of the biggest issues that we're having with our kids living these lifestyles, because if you train them up different and if you teach them different, 9 times out of 10, they're not gonna go and want to live that life. And if they try to, they're gonna typically find their way back because they know that this isn't the way I was raised. You feel me? But we have these generations where the parents have not been taught, then the grandparents have not been taught, so therefore the children only know what they get from their parents, grandparents. And if their parents and grandparents are out in the street all day, or out drinking all day, or sitting up high in a stupor and sleeping all day, then they don't see anything positive at home, and therefore they're going to take to whatever it is that makes them feel good in the street. So that's the major solution, is change those things at home. That's first one. That's definitely first one. I'll leave with that. You can go ahead and add yours in.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely agree. That's why I put them in the ticker down there. Like I said, family structure, a solid foundation, rules for the house, financial education, because it's rough out there. It's really, especially in these times with all the economic uncertainty, to be 18 and just going out into the world where the job prospects are not that solid for all career fields. It can be really hard. But 2 things I want to really highlight is it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken ones. Because we can see a lot of those clips that we had before. There was, in my opinion, poor guidance leading up to those major crossroads. So be it the rearing of children or them being prepared for the world. They're going to bump their head. That's a given with life. But it's better, like you said, like you discussed the whole podcast today, is to have those values, structure, education, and just knowing the value of, be it a dollar or just having good morals. And also just like having good habits, be it something as simple as making your bed, doing your laundry. Like there's simple household chores or tasks that people just don't know how to do. So like things of that nature. So I'd say, yeah, good habits, family structure, financial education, respect for the house, and it's easier to prevent than to. So yeah, building strong children is better than repairing broken ones. All right, so I think that'll do it for today's session. It was good. We had some really good comments. Let's see if we got anything else to close out today. See.
I got, you know what? I got one more thing to add in. And this may rub people the wrong way because we got some people that believe different things.
That's all right.
But honestly and truthfully, let's just be for real. People don't bring their kids to like church and stuff anymore. And yeah, I know. I shouldn't go there. I shouldn't go there. I know I shouldn't go there, but I'm going there. People don't bring their kids to church anymore. And I mean, and I know some people think differently. People have their thoughts about it. But whether you like it, don't like it, whether you believe it, whatever color you think he is, none of that's important. The fact of the matter is the teaching that goes in it. And I remember from when I was a youth, and with the youth that I've taught back in my day, you know, you learn certain things when you're in those church groups as a young kid. You learn things like forgiveness. You learn things like doing to others. You learn things like, you know, don't steal, don't kill. You learn things like helping others. You learn things like respect. You learn things like loving one another. And if you're loving one another, then I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt your feelings. I'm not going to talk about you. I'm not going to do bad things to you. All of that stuff. And when you teach that stuff at a younger age, when you get older, you know, there's feelings, there's guilt, there's consciousness, there's those things that kind of remind you in the back of your mind that these are not things that are not right. And so when that stuff goes on, you know, that's that learning. And even if you're not going to do church necessarily, just putting your kids into situations where they can get that type of structure or that type of teaching. If you're not going to do it at home, at least let them do it at church. Because once again, like I said, what you don't teach at home, somebody else is going to teach them. You don't want to go to church. You don't like all that, this, that, and other. You don't want to do all the singing, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Drop your kids off and come pick them up. But if you get that instilled in them, it'll carry on with them. And they'll be less apt to want to go after all this negativity and all this negative energy. We need to put as much positive energy into our children as possible. And that's definitely one of those ways that does it. And it carries on with them through all the life a lot of times. Now, nobody's perfect. No church is perfect. No family's perfect. No parenting's perfect. There is no manual. You're not going to get it. But we need to do our best to put positivity into our children, to put the right stuff into our children. And when they get older, they'll be better off. So that's my little extra to throw in there.
There we go. Hey, they even emptying the clip out here. Amen. But yeah, that's so true. And what's good about the church, like you said, not everybody's big on church, but it teaches morality. It teaches structure, morality, structure. It has financial principles, things of that nature. So all those things, even if you don't have them within yourself, the Bible or any kind of spiritual book does teach those things. So yeah, very, very good point. Very good point. Back to the word. So yeah, so let's highlight a couple of these comments to close out. Of course, they definitely will, whether we do it or not. Bible. He's not even trying to leave. There's no respect to that man by the son or the wife. He will not be there for much longer. Oh, referring to the previous clip. Yeah. He won't. Man or woman, they'll only take so much poor treatment, disrespect. Everybody has a breaking point. That boy said, that's my mama house. Oh yeah, he did say that. So I ain't going nowhere unless they put me out. They definitely will learn something, whether we teach them or not. Bible, train up a child. That's the key. Train up a child in the way they should grow. So when they are older, they will not depart from it.
That's real.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in today for another Unheard Word podcast. I think we had a really dope conversation. We had David, as always, preaching. I got to get a sound clip like a church organ when you start preaching. So yeah, I know the audience appreciates it, your insight and your wisdom. So yeah, we'll be back again next Friday. Topic to be announced, but today was very interesting. What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments below. Again, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, continue with us on our journey as we aim to help the community go better and further. All right, thanks till next time. Peace.